Hi everyone, this is Chris Lawton with Intuit Health. I'm just going to wait a few minutes if you're watching the replay to let people come in. While we're waiting, I'm just going to tag a few people. Just bear with me. I'm here just letting everybody know that we're live. Hi Dallas, how are you doing? So as people come on, if you want to just let me know where you're from, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about who I am. A lot of you, especially those who are watching the replay, already know who I am, but some of you are brand new here. So, Dallas, I'm so happy that you hopped on this morning. There was a few people at the very end that signed up, so I'm very grateful that you signed up and that you're here. Hi, Pat. How are you doing? I'm going to... While I'm just waiting for people to come in, I'm going to move over here to be able to watch the comments. You're here, Pat, you're here. I don't want to miss out on anything that you guys happen to be saying. Jerry, hi, how are you? You made it, yay! All right. See, it really helps me to be able to see my comments down on another device because, Pat, you're tired. Pat's had a very ill dog and she's been taking care of him around the clock and he's doing better. I'm really glad about that. It's cold here. I'm in North Carolina and I'd love to let me know where everybody is coming in from. I'd love to hear where you're coming from. I'm in North Carolina. I'm on the beach. You guys who follow me will know because I'm always out there taking pictures of the beach. I could live there. But this morning, it's cold. It's not a beach day unless you're going to wear your hat and gloves and all of that. Excuse me. All right. So I think we're going to get started. I thought at first, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Chris Lawton, Tennessee. Very good, Pat. Sorry, hold on. Okay. My name is Chris Lawton, and I have a company. It's called Intuit Health. And my goal for my business is literally simple. It's just to help you, everybody I'm talking to, and everybody who I haven't talked to yet. I want to help you find yourself. Find out what's in the way of all your beautiful dreams that you want to make come true and how to use your intuition to be able to, bridge that gap between the things you want, the things that you desire, and how to use your intuition to kind of sort through, what's real, what's not, and how to follow your own guidance. So, that's who I am, and that's what I do. I have a little sheet here. It says, tell them who I am and what I do. And why do I do it? This has been a thing for me for about 25 years. I had a big awakening. One moment I really had no beliefs and I really couldn't see or hear or any of my intuition type things that I have now. And all of a sudden it was there. It was very quick. Some of us are born with it, right? And some of us are born with the ability to do it. I want to say that. I think we're all born with it, but some of us, it's just there, the people that will tell you stories about their childhood and things they saw, things that may have scared them, or things that they may have talked about that scared other people that they knew. And then there's people like me that it was there, but I didn't know until it was my late 20s, I think, that I really started to like realize. So sorry. My phone is like, I'm seeing messages coming and coming. So oh yes, my folks were scared to death, right? Yes. I had a mom, she could see things, and I grew up, this might be why I was kind of closed off for a long time. I grew up with her being afraid of her abilities because she would dream about who was going to die, including her dad, which came true. So my relation to this growing up was my mom was scared. My mom was scared. So, maybe it was something I like kind of closed off within myself until I went to a workshop, and it was a breathing meditation type workshop through your chakras. And all of a sudden it was like hot water poured on me, and all of a sudden I could see colors, and I was scared. It really scared me. I just shut it down and stopped thinking about it for a little bit because it totally freaked me out. But it was the beginning of my whole journey to this point. So it was amazing, to look back and to think about it. Why I do what I do is because I hear a lot. I've had a thing that people will say, your gifts, you have gifts. How did you find them? Or how did you, come up with them? And it's like they sit there waiting for us to dig them up or to allow them to come to the surface. What do you guys think? Like those of you who have had experience with using your intuition, or maybe just sometimes before you really have a good grasp on them, they'll kind of sneak up on you, right? What have your experiences been that make you recognize that you have something? I'd love to hear about that. So anyways, that's why I do it, because I found mine and I just want to help you find yours. It really is a very powerful tool to be able to use in your life, about just as you move through your life, or when there's things really bothering you, to be able to ask, even for loved ones who aren't here anymore, ask their advice. Hey, what's going on? And how can, what's a higher perspective of advice? So that's why I'm here, because I want to share what I can do so that we can bring your stuff to the surface too. A little announcement of this workshop is going to be a little bit different in regards to, this is the second one for you guys who maybe came for the first one a little bit, or didn't know about the first one and they're here for this one. There's going to be some prizes that I'm giving. Every night there's homework, and I talk to my husband all the time. Yes, Pat, isn't that amazing? Like we think or we know they're gone, right? Physically they're gone, but there's always a really powerful way to keep them close if you allow yourself to be able to be open enough to communicate that way. So during this workshop, there's homework every single night, which isn't a big deal. It's only 4 nights. The homework that I give you nobody's making you do it. It's not like school, but it's awesome if you try, and you might be surprised what will happen if you do your homework. So there'll be 4 days of homework, and then everybody here and everybody who is coming for the replay, if you participate in every single video, and it doesn't have to be live every day, just let me know you're here, make some comments as you're watching. If you come for all 5, there's going to be a raffle at the end for a free session with me. So it'll be a regular full-length 60-minute session that'll be raffled off for everybody who shows up every day. And there is going to be, if you do your homework every day there'll be a raffle. It's just a $10 gift card, but it's some incentive to get your homework done, and then the person who does it all, there'll be another raffle there too. So I'm just adding a little bit of incentives for everyone to, you know, it's some accountability, right? I don't know how you guys are about things, but you make a goal and you want to do it, but then the next day you say, I want to make a goal and I'm going to try to do it. And every day you talk about what that goal is, but you don't actually do it. So doing this kind of thing with some incentive will help you maybe put yourself in action instead of just thinking about doing it. So some incentive, a little bit of cash, free readings. Let's see if, let me know. Does that sound good to you? Is the video working okay, Pat? I see that you say freezing up. I can't tell if you're saying the weather is freezing up or the video is freezing up. I just want to make sure. If someone can let me know everything is running okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Dallas. All right, so the name of this workshop is Mastering Your Intuitive Wisdom Through Self-Discovery. And this is a slice of a bigger picture. It's a program that I'm offering. It's 12 weeks and it's a real deep dive into all of this stuff. As we go through, I'll kind of go through everything that is within that program, but I just want you to know that this is just a tiny slice of this bigger thing that I'm offering. Okay, thanks you guys. Okay, so what is this Mastering Your Intuitive Wisdom Through Self-Discovery? It's a program to transform desires into reality. And if you're curious or longing to find and foster your intuitive gifts, this is the perfect place to be. So this, like, we have a lot of desires, right? About whether we want to travel or whether we want to work in a certain field or whether we just want to feel better, maybe wake up without a backache, all of that, right? Well, this workshop and this program is all about that because it's getting to know who you are and why you are triggered about different things and what trauma you may carry and how to process that and let it go. And another really big thing is because there's a whole other, using our intuition is, it's in conjunction with being able to work as a medium. And I don't mean work like go out and get paid. Certainly that's an option, but I just mean being able to talk to your loved ones or being able to talk to someone who's on the other side. It could be anyone. It could be your favorite movie star or your favorite spiritual like guru, or it could be your grandmother. So that's another whole part to this. And I kind of think of it as two different parts, even though you're using your intuition for both, because it's, when you're using your intuition, this is funny, I haven't really explained this before, I don't think. When you're using your intuition and you're just simply getting information for yourself, you're working within yourself. But when you are communicating with someone who has passed, you're dealing with another being, you know, and you're communicating with someone else versus communicating within yourself. So it's kind of an interesting prospect, and there is two different, like, they're together, but it's like taking two subjects. So we're going to talk about that too. All right. So does everybody have a piece of paper and a pen, a pencil, or even you know, computer that you can type on to take notes? I'm going to ask you a few questions. Yeah. You know, Pat, what comes to mind when you say that? Pat says I have trouble hearing my guides. And what comes to mind is doubting. Now, this is legitimate for most people learning this, but also it might just be like specific information I'm getting about you, Pat, is doubting or second guessing. And I've been talking about this a little bit, and I've noticed this has been very prevalent in my practice, like when I'm doing readings for other people or working with information for myself. when I'm asking for information, tell me if you've had this experience. When I'm asking for information, sometimes it comes so fast that I almost miss it. And it almost feels like it was a thought in response, but it's happening at the same time as you're asking the question. So it's not like a phone call that you talk, the other person talks, right? Like, hello, how are you? Like this. But sometimes, and this is what, Pat, I want you to kind of pay attention next time you do it and see if this happens for you. Sometimes when we ask, it's like on top of each other. And then that leaves room for doubting or even realizing that you got your information. It's just something I've been experiencing quite a lot lately. And yes, I do it a lot and I ask a lot of questions, get a lot of information, but I've also understood that this is how it's been for me for a really long time, but that's where the doubting is, when it happens so fast that you don't even really understand that you already have the answer. And I don't mean have the answer because everything's within you, but you already have the answer because you heard it, but it was on top of your question. Does that make sense to you guys? Hi, Mary. Nice to see you here. All right, I'm going to wait for you guys while you're talking and answering my question. I'm going to keep going. So here's some questions I'm going to ask you. And yes, that could be it. I have no trouble hearing or seeing spirits. Yes, it does. Yeah. It's just a thing to think about. Like, we try. I remember back when I first started this, and the first thing I started doing to get like yes or no answers was with a pendulum. So you have your hand and you take your pendulum and, you know, it spins one way for yes, one way for no. Oh my God. I must have asked 1,000 questions. And you know how frustrating it is when like you do something over and over and over and it just gets worse and worse. Like, am I doing this right? Am I getting a right answer? And then you ask that same question over. I remember doing that and I was so determined, but I was so like, trying too hard, I guess, trying too hard. So, and I think that that's part of it. We try so hard. I say this all the time, but you know, I'll work with someone and I'll ask them like, look for this. And the person goes, you know, like they're trying so hard and that's not where the answers are. Oh, that's always worked. Yeah, you've played with you use the pendulum. A lot of people use the pendulum. I can now, and it's really cool. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but if you use a pendulum and you put it over your hand, if you envision the energy spinning in your hand, you can move the direction of the pendulum. It's a really cool, whoever's, you know, wants to try that out, you can use anything. You don't have to have a pendulum. You can have a necklace or a bracelet or anything that like dangles, and then you just hold it over. Let me see, I might be able to show you. It's really pretty cool. So can everybody see what I'm doing? So if I'm gonna put this in the middle of my hand, I'm gonna think, just stay still. And now I'm gonna wanna spin it to the right. It's hard because I'm like trying to watch you and trying not to move my hand. Okay, so I'm spinning to the right. Now I'm going to change it to the left. That was easier. Now I'm going to stop it. So you can try that out. Like, use anything that dangles and then just use your mind. It's a very good way to understand that we can manipulate the energy that's within our body, like on top of our body, right? If there's ways that you can put a pendulum into each chakra and see how that chakra is working, and then you can imagine it spinning and then you can align it and open it. That's something that is within the bigger program that I'm offering. Pat, I'm going to wait and watch the replay. Not sure why, but mine is freezing up at the good parts. I'll watch in a while. Okay, Pat. I'm sorry to see you go. All right, so here's some questions. Pat, if you're still here, maybe just tell your stuff to calm down. This is probably, you know, sometimes if you get excited, your energy gets excited. Sometimes it does affect the electronics. Okay, so I'm going to ask a list of questions. Jerry, if you're still here, I know you've already answered these within a class that I already had, but I'm just going to go through them because this is a good way to recognize what experiences you've already had. Okay, so here we go. I would love to have you answer, whether it's now or whether it's in the replay, in the comments, the answers to these questions. That way you're sharing your answer and other people can learn from your answers. Okay, so number one, have you ever seen something that was not physically there? So maybe you saw something, you know, a solid figure, maybe you saw a wispy figure, maybe you saw something floating in the air, anything like that. Number two, yes, thank you, Dallas. Number two, can you ask for a message and get it intuitively? So can you, thank you, Mary. Mary says yes. Can you ask for a message? Say you want an answer to something, you're trying to make a decision, or you know, you're asking a loved one a question. Can you ask for a message and get it? Or has that ever happened? This doesn't have to happen all the time for you, but has it ever happened? Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Dallas. So then the next one is, do you feel things in your gut? You walk into a room and your belly says, ugh, or someone asks you to go do something and your gut, you have a response in your gut. That word gut feeling certainly is something that's real. Energetically, our solar plexus, which is where our gut I can't talk, where our gut is, talks to us, right? Yep, awesome, guys. All right. Do your dreams ever come true? Have you ever had a dream that came true? And then the second part of that is, can you use your dreams for answers? So, and that's tonight's homework, by the way. Can you go to sleep thinking about what you want to dream about and get an answer? And again, this doesn't have to happen all the time, but basically, has it ever happened for you? Have you ever felt an energy shift in the room that was full of people? So maybe you're having a good time, you're with a bunch of people, and then all of a sudden somebody walks in and everything changes. So are you sensitive to that? Thank you, Mary. Have you ever held an object in your hand and got information around it? So maybe it was an old thing that belonged to someone else, or maybe you went to an antique store. It doesn't have to be old though. Or I've had experience that I've picked up just random things, and I either see things or get a feeling, you know, of sadness, maybe anything like that. That is, it's called psychometry, and that is a thing that, you know, you can actually hold something and get information about it. You see it in the movies, right? Like with a psychic, sometimes they'll have an article of clothing or whatever, and they're looking for someone who's missing, and the person will read the energy off the clothing. Yeah, that's right, Mary. All right. Have you ever seen anything out of the corner of your eye? Now that's a little bit different than just seeing something. This happens to me all the time. You'll see something, it'll be like right out the corner of your eye, and then you'll turn your head and it won't be there. Has anybody experienced that? Dallas says, this is so awesome because I had a dream 2 days ago I've been wanting to interpret. Awesome. The first day of homework is about creating a space to get answers in your dreams. So that's almost the basic, like it's going to be an ongoing homework for all week. There'll be other things to do each night, but that's the first night. So yeah, we'll definitely, and those of you who have dreams within these 5 days, on that post, the first day of homework, I want you to write them down if you're willing to share, because the more we share, the more people's dreams are up there, the more that everybody else in the workshop can kind of help each other about different interpretations. So it gives you an idea of, one, what your dream is all about, and two, you know, if you have 10 people that have a different understanding of how to interpret dreams, it gives you 10 different aspects of, you know, which way you want to decide. I talk a lot with my hands. I apologize for that. Have you ever received a message from a past loved one? So maybe it could be in a dream, it could be through a song, anything like that. But have you ever really acknowledged that whatever the message was, it was from someone that you knew was on the other side? Have you ever traveled out of your body? I know, well, I'm looking at myself, so it's not like I can just do it and just not notice it. I see myself moving my hands. All right. I would love if anybody has a story around traveling out of their body. If you want to share it, that would be really cool. I think that's one of, thank you, Dallas. I think that's one of the, for me, one of my favorite things about, like, one of the things that I could choose that I can do is traveling, doing like remote viewing, being able to, you know, see beyond the room we're in. How powerful is that to imagine that we can do that? We feel sometimes so lonely and so isolated, and we have these amazing abilities, and if we could access them all, it would be so different, wouldn't it? Like, what do you think? Have you ever felt the energy of a spirit in the room? And if you have felt it, what did it feel like to you? For me, my experience, I've had experience with like beautiful angelic beings that just crack your heart open and, you know, make you cry your eyes out with joy. And then I've had experiences with dark or very angry spirits, and that feeling can be very, very powerful. But on the other spectrum, like unwarranted fear, like fear that you don't even know where it's coming from, but it's so intense, and goosebumps, and you know, freezing cold, and emotions that aren't yours, nausea, dizziness. There's a lot to it. Dallas, I was scared at first, but now I understand better. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else. Have you ever had sudden goosebumps from confirmation? It happens to me all the time, especially when I'm doing a reading. It just, like, you know, if you hit that spot that's perfect, I'll just get goosebumps all over my body. Yes, both dark and what I felt were angelic. Yeah, it's powerful, right? And So do you consider yourself to be empathic? And if there's anybody here or watching later that has, feels they're empathic and has a really hard time being so sensitive and affected by other people's stuff, this is a really good place to explore some ways to, there are ways to protect yourself, of course, right? But I always say the best way to become healthy within your ability to be empathetic is to do your own personal work, so that you're super healthy within yourself and you're super healthy around your perspective of triggers, and then you can recognize what's yours and what's theirs. All right, so that's my list of what experiences you've had. And one of the reasons that I like going through that list is because some people are like, yes, I have these abilities and I want more, or I want to explore how to use them on demand, right? I talk about that a lot. It's about being on demand, being able to say, I want to do this, or, say you have a list of 10 things that you're able to do. Well, today I need this particular thing I can do for this particular task, right? Or sometimes they just pop in and you don't know how to control them at all, but like you have a dream that comes true once a year, or, things that are just spontaneous. And with this little workshop and with this bigger program, what I want to help you with is to be able to take all these things that you want to do and you're in control. Not to mean that you never ever have a spontaneous thing. Certainly I have spontaneous things happen all the time, but to be able to use them on demand. Who would like that? Like to be able to access your gifts, whichever ones that you want, on demand. I'd like to hear that from you guys. Okay, so here's my next question. What gifts do you want? Can you put those in the comments? What do you want to be able to do? Or what do you want to be able to do better if you're able to do some things? This is a funny story. When I first started doing this, I wanted everything. I would lay in bed and meditate and work on my chakras, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but it was very interesting. Before I started seeing things and stuff, I had terrible sinus infections for years. Chronic sinus infections, always on antibiotics, always didn't feel good, always had headaches. And once this happened, once I had this thing that woke me up, I started working with my chakras, especially in my head. And as soon as I started working with them, they would pop, 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 pop. And probably within maybe a year after this, they went away and never came back. So it's curious to think about. George is snoring. That's my pug. If you hear somebody snoring in the background. It's curious to think about, I had all these problems with my sinuses, which is in the area of my head where I'm, getting information from. Once it cleared away, I was probably a more clear conduit for information, and I just needed, I needed to do that clearing. And that's evidence of when we have chronic things going on in our body, it's usually stuff that, attached to things that we need to shift or align with. Let's see what Della said. Whoops. Della says, listen to my guides and be able to decipher the message properly. Mediumship, being able to control the energy properly, and eventually being able to heal and help others heal. Awesome goal. Awesome goal. All right, so I'm going to tell you the other half of the story. I would lay there and do all this meditation, everything, and then I would pray. I want to be a healer. I want to be the most amazing healer. I want to be able to heal people and teach people and all these things. I want to see things and know things and be a healer like Jesus. I literally said that. And right after that, I had like 10 years of a dark night of a soul. If you've never heard that like saying, you can look it up. It's called Dark Night of the Soul. And it was a rough time after that, like working through all of my stuff. It's funny, right now I feel like the crown of my head just going whoo, whoo, whoo. Okay, so we asked, what gifts do you want? And so here's another question related to what you want. What are you afraid of? And it doesn't have to be anything, or I would love to hear, if there is something you're afraid of, because usually when we want big things, usually there's something, there's some fear in the way. So what are you afraid of about obtaining all these gifts that you would like to have access to? And then the other question that's kind of the same but a little different, what are your obstacles to get where you want to be? What do you think your obstacles are to being able to have access to all your gifts? So if you can write in the comments any of what you're thinking, what are you afraid of? What do you think's in the way? I would love to hear that. Can anybody hear George? Because I can hear him, he's super loud. All right. So what I want to talk about now, Jerry says, doubt is probably my biggest obstacle. Yeah. I think that's a big one for a lot of people. Mary, being able to hear messages clearer and more frequently. Dallas, my only obstacle, I believe, is probably have more healing to do within myself to get rid of blocks. Yeah, for sure. I think the whole, like getting past our blocks is putting it in a nutshell for everyone. Like Jerry's saying, doubt is his biggest one. So that's something that you could work with to get past that. That's a block. And Mary, maybe your need to tune in a little bit more and what's maybe in the way of being able to hear the message clearly. So that's, Dallas, I appreciate your comment, because that's it in a nutshell. Yeah. So, working like this, and we're gonna, this is just the beginning, but you start to get into your stuff and you start to understand what's in the way, what you need to move or what you need to let go of. We're gonna do a whole day, I think it's the day after tomorrow, of beliefs. What are our old beliefs and what do we hold on to around, how many things can be around being able to see imaginary things, right? Religion gets in the way, and being told our imagination is too overactive, and people afraid of us around us if they see that you can do some stuff. There's a lot of beliefs. So we're going to spend a whole hour talking about old beliefs versus what we want our new beliefs to be that empower us within creating our gifts to come to the surface, and then some meditation around it to kind of let go of the old and plant some new ones. So a big thing that I find really curious when you're starting to purposefully access your intuition is, what is the difference between imagination and intuition? I actually took a definition because, hey Kayla, because I love this definition of imagination. Imagination allows us to obtain knowledge through the formation of concepts, images, and sensations in our mind. Intuition obtains knowledge about a particular situation without necessarily having anything on which to base the acquisition. I'm gonna make this a post so you guys can like go over it after, because I think I'm gonna read it one more time in a minute, but I think we're going to do a guided imagery. Some of you may have already done something similar, but I'm not going to do the same thing we did last time. But when we start to use our imagination, we're forming the concepts, right? We're forming the concepts and we're creating the images in our mind. But when we're within our world that we've built, then that's where the intuition comes in, because the things that we're not planning on, right? The things that we're not planning on or creating there, and that's where it's not based on acquisition. It's just based on our intuition. We're not constructing it, we're allowing it, right? Does that make sense? So, I believe, and I know some of you have already experienced this, I believe that using your imagination to get access to your intuition is very, very powerful, because, and this is another thing we're going to talk about in the days to come, is when we're dealing with the non-physical, we can't really use our physical senses, right? Think about that for a minute. Can you use, some of us, I'm not saying you can never see a solid being that's not here in the physical, but a majority of the time when we're working with our intuition and gaining answers, you're working with your inside vision, your inside hearing, right? Your feelings, emotions, all of those things you can't measure. You can't, like our vision on the outside, you can measure, do you have 20/20 vision, or is your hearing perfect or imperfect? But our internal senses can't be measured. And that's where if we start to use our imagination, we can see that we can create things, right? You can see, you can create things to look at, you can create things to listen to, and then that kind of opens a door for other things to happen. And who, when, because this is most people, when you were younger, how many of you, and you can share a story or whatever if you want to with me, you were little and all of a sudden at some point you weren't really supposed to have as much fun, right? You weren't supposed to be playing games as much, or, you know, some of us had people that, you know, kept us company, imaginary friends and stuff like that. Can anybody remember that time period where things shifted from, you know, nothing to really worry about, and you could make up things in your head and use your imagination and dream? I mean, this could even be when you were in high school and you were dreaming about being a doctor, or dreaming about whatever your big dreams were, and then all of a sudden, you know, 2 years later you end up in a job you didn't want, in a relationship you didn't want. So your dreams kind of are squished. Has anybody had that experience? And using your imagination to access your intuition is the opposite of having your dreams squished. It's learning how to create more dreams, learning how to find those things that have been stuffed down for so long. So I'd love to hear anybody's stories if you've had any of those squished moments. And then the next thing we're going to do, let's see, where's my second page? We're going to do a little guided imagery. And those of you who were here last time, Kayla, I know we were playing in the snow, going sledding. What I'm going to do today, I think, is I'm going to take you for a guided imagery, a tour around a house that you design. So I want to really explain the purpose of this so that you can kind of get the most out of it. I'm going to give you the basis of what I want you to imagine. So we're going to go into a house and you're going to create what it looks like on the outside. You're going to create what it looks like on the inside. But as we go through the house, I'm going to have you do things and look at things. And that's where the intuition part comes. That's where you get some answers that maybe you can access through your intuition after you've built this house that you're able to walk through. So part of it is building, part of it is world building, and the other part is using your intuition to be able to get answers. Or there's some cool stuff I don't want to give you, I don't want to give it away, like some of the things I'm going to have you do. So if you can find a comfortable place, you can sit up, you can lay down, sit in your car, wherever you may be. And we're just going to listen to George snore a little bit as you take a couple of deep breaths. Just calm your breath, calm your thoughts. Think about bringing your senses within yourself. So if you hear noises around you, kind of bring your thoughts and your hearing inside. Bring your vision inside. And then just a couple of more deep breaths. If you tend to breathe up here at the top of your chest, try to bring your breath up from your belly, filling your lungs. And when you exhale, just release any tension that may be in your neck or your back. And then in your imagination, so this whole thing is going to be done with your eyes shut. In your imagination, I want you to imagine a path. So you're going to construct this path the way that you'd like it to be. It could be anywhere. It could be in the woods, could be just on the road, it could be anywhere. You're going to walk down the path. And we're walking towards your home. Now, this home does not have to be a home that you have ever lived in. This is a home that represents you. You may pass a few homes before you choose which one is yours, or you may be in the middle of nowhere and there's no other homes but yours. And when you come to your home, I want you to just walk down the path or the driveway and really take a good look at the outside of the home that you've chosen as yours. Good things to notice is, what does it look like? What color is it? What kind of condition is it in? Look around the yard. What is the yard like? Are there gardens? Playgrounds? Snow? Could be anything. And before we go inside, I want you to go to the backyard, and you're going to find a swing set there. And on the swing set, I want you to sit down and just swing. And notice there may be two swings, there may be someone swinging beside you. This is a good place to invite a loved one to hang out with you, or just see who shows up. And just swing. Swing like you're a little kid, nobody's watching, you go super high, you're safe. You feel the wind on your face. And I want you to notice how you feel. And then let the swing kind of die down or jump off. And we're going to walk over to the door to get into the house. Doesn't have to be front door, back door, whatever works for you. And I want you to just go into the house and look around. So this is where your intuition is coming in, not just your imagination. You can just let it all come together on its own. And notice, what does it smell like? What's on the floors? What kind of furniture, if there is any? Is there people? Are you alone? And then we're going to do a couple of things. What I want you to do is find the kitchen. And as you walk into the kitchen, I want you to look around in all the cabinets. Open them up. What's there? Is there food in the refrigerator? Are there dishes in your sink? Is there food in the pantry? Just take a look. And then when you're done in there, the next thing I want you to do is go to the living room or the family area. And you're going to find a big full-length mirror. This is fun, or this can be creepy for some people. But if you can stand in front of the mirror and just see what you see. Do you see yourself? Do you see yourself at a different age? What is your perception of yourself? And if you see someone besides you in the mirror, you can always, it might be someone you recognize. You might want to ask them a question. And then, if there are 2 stories, I want you to walk up the stairs and find the most comfortable room. And whatever there is, if there's a bed to lay on, a couch to lay on, I want you to just lay down into that most comfortable place in the most comfortable room and just relax. Feel relaxation for a moment and look around and see. So if this is your relaxation place, what is in it? What represents relaxation to you? And then I want you to sit up within your imagination in your relaxation place. And I want you to notice there's a knock on the door. Now, the person knocking on the door is someone that you would love to talk to. They could be alive, they could be already passed, they could be anyone. And when you're ready, because they're knocking on the door and they want to come in, you can say, "Come on in," and let them come into the room. Maybe sit down beside you and you can ask your question. And then when you're ready, there's no hurry here. When you're ready, you can thank them, maybe give them a hug. They can walk with you out of the house, or you can just part here. And I want you to just kind of work your way back through the house and head towards the door. And you can maybe take an extra look around and see what's around you. Something maybe you missed. And then you're going to go out the door, take a last look at your house, because now you have this house, and if it's unfamiliar to you, it is a great place to come back and visit anytime to explore. And then I just want you to get back on your path where you first arrived. And then take a big deep breath, and you're going to bring yourself back into your body, moving your hands, moving your feet. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And then I would like you to, you can either write it in comments, write it on a piece of paper, whatever works for you. If there's anything that stood out within this experience, it's really great to take notes, because even if you think you'll remember, if there's something important happened, you may not remember. So write it down. And I would love to hear about anything that was really extraordinary or surprising. And then I wanted to just tell a couple of things. I had you go into the kitchen to look into the cabinets. Did you notice, was there food? Was there dishes? Was there what you needed? This is one of the telltale signs. This is using your intuition. If you opened the cabinets and there was nothing there, it's a really good indication that you're not giving yourself what you need. You're not providing sustenance for yourself, maybe. So that's one thing. But if it's full of food and you had everything you needed, then that's really good, because you're providing for yourself, or at least you have reserve. The other thing is, you looked in the mirror. What did you see? I want to hear about that. What did you see? And what was the third thing? You talked to the person up in the bedroom. One, how did the bed, or how did that room feel? Was there anything special about it? And the second part is, did you get to talk to someone, and did you get to get a question answered? So I haven't heard from anybody for a while, but I know you're there, so I'm gonna keep talking. But you know, if you want to share some, that would be really awesome. And if you're writing a lot and you just need a couple of minutes, please write that too, because I can kind of just slow down and let you make sure and take all the notes that you need to. And those of you who are watching the replay, I would really love for you to comment on all of these things too. It's so awesome to share, because then you get to see what, you know, other people are experiencing. All right, Jerry, you keep writing. That means you got some good stuff, and I love that. I'm going to talk about homework. Let's see. So homework for tonight, and this homework will go for all week, because those of you who want to use your dreams to get some answers, but you don't dream or you're not used to it, it's something that you want to do consecutively every single night. And the more you do it, the more you set yourself up, the more it's bound to happen. So don't be discouraged if for the first 2-3 nights nothing happens. Just keep it up. So what I want you to do is keep a journal by your bed, or I use my phone and notes. And I want you to think of a question that you would like answered, or that something you want to dream about. And then I want you to write it 5 times. So over and over. Say, my thing last week is I wanted to talk to my brother who's passed. So over and over I would say, I want to dream about my brother. I want to dream about my brother. And I just say it 5 times. All that's doing is making the intention and getting the energy. Abraham and Hicks, they say, I think it takes 17 seconds. If you spend 17 seconds focusing on something, then the energy is moving towards that. After you write that down and you go to sleep, if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, if you're dedicated, this is the way I do it, I'll remember. It takes a little while sometimes to like get in the groove of remembering. I'll remind myself, okay, I haven't dreamt yet, but this is what I want to do, and say it again. I want to dream about blah, 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 whatever it is. So when you wake up and you have a dream, this is something else. When you go to sleep, you want to remind yourself, I will remember my dream. And there's a whole bunch, wait a minute, I'm going to back up a little bit. The one thing that you can say when you're asking to dream is, I will have a dream that's easily decipherable. Because how many of us have these wacko dreams? I had some crazy dreams this morning, and I couldn't even, like, it takes a lot of energy to try to decipher it. So if you just ask your subconscious, hey, make it easy. So usually that will help. Easily decipherable, easily understandable. And then the other thing you want to ask is, I will remember to write it down. And you know what I mean? I'll wake up, I'll remember, and I'll write it down. Because I don't know about you guys, but when you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you don't want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you will want to go back to sleep and not document your dream. But what you want to do is write your dream, no matter how tired you are, then you go to sleep. That way you'll remember it. So that's your homework. So if there's, I'm going to post it in the feed of this group, and also up in, it's called guides, and it's right under the title of the group. There's like different sections. If you click on guides, all the homework is there for each day. So please make comments, how to go, just write that you're doing it. And as long as you're acknowledging that you're doing it and working on it, you'll be marked off as doing your homework. So you'll be in the raffle for the gift cards. All right. Mary says, refrigerator had food, cabinets were empty. Mara was younger self. Cool. So there's probably, Mary, there's probably a little bit of work to do around the cabinets being empty, right? Why they're empty. And the younger self, that's pretty cool. And how many of us, you know, we think of ourselves as whatever, you know, not as the age that we are, but, you know, I kind of think of myself as like 20 years old. Like that's how I feel within my body until I look in the mirror, and it's not exactly the truth. Dallas, the cabinets were full, very clean and organized. Wow. Decorated beautifully, and got a question answered and was able to see her. Amazing. So Dallas, was this, did that like kind of, was that a bit of a breakthrough for you? Was that helpful to have like the organized guided imagery to be able to go from place to place? I'd love to hear about that. All right. Jerry, are you still writing? All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. Good job, Dallas. I'm really, really happy about that. Just keep coming. This group, that's great. That means you got a whole bunch of information. I'm really happy about that. So, you know, just keep coming back every day. This group, the more people are active in writing, the more you're going to learn and the more you're going to interact. During this week, I think I'm going to do these twice a day. So I will be back tonight. I didn't want to plan on it for sure every night, but I'm going to try to do it twice a day because there's a lot of people at work, and you know, more people will be able to participate live. So I think that's it. Tonight you will get an email. It will have all the links for homework, for the replay. You were here anyways, but it'll all be there. So you'll get that every evening. I'm gonna send you out an email. If you have any questions, if you're going through anything around what we're working on here, please reach out. I'm very accessible for support. As many of you know, but I'm going to just remind everybody and put this out here. I do private readings, 30 minutes or 1 hour. So if you're looking for a full intuitive reading, just, reach out to me and we can make an appointment for a session. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns? And I appreciate you guys being here this week because I know, it's a holiday week. So I was on the fence whether it was a good idea or not. But sometimes holidays can be more trying, even though there's a lot of, people around that you might be happy to see and all of that. So something like this, it can be very grounding and can get you like reorganized. So even, there's no hard feelings if you can't show up for the lives, but do show up at some point for yourself to participate, because you're all here for a reason, right? You're all here because you want to learn more about yourself and be able to use your intuition. And hopefully you're already, getting some from this hour that we've already spent together. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'll give you guys like just a minute or so if you have any last things you want to comment or any questions. We'll just sit here and listen to George serenading us with his snoring. All right, you guys. I know that there's a bit of a lag. Hi, Sheena. You're just catching us as we're leaving, but I'm going to post the replay, so you can just start at the beginning and it'll be posted in just a couple of minutes. All right, you guys, thank you for spending this hour with me. I will be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, definitely. And I will be popping on tonight, probably about 8 o'clock. If you just want to come back and spend more time with me. So, all right, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow or tonight. Bye.